Hey people, it's Ben here from Beneficial Massive, where you, the masses, hopefully benefit from something I provide for you in this video. As time goes by, I thought why not do something different on my YouTube channel, Beneficial Massive. So, I was walking home today and heard this laugh that was really self-consumed, kinda sounding, and funnily enough, it reminded me of Daffy Duck. Then I started thinking, what happened to that duck? Anyway, to cut a short story shorter, I thought, why not do a tribute for Daffy Duck on my channel to remind everyone of his history and legacy. I thought, I look up so many thoughts and queries on Wikipedia or just the internet in general, and thought, why not put the research I do into an episode on my channel, but obviously research deeper and present it on YouTube just for the fun of it. I was going to say quack of it, but I don't want to be too corny. It's something I could show my daughter to, or just could see later on in my life. I showed her some Looney Tunes already, but she wanted to watch Disney instead, I think. Today we are taking a look at a family type, laughable, gangly, black-feathered, lunatic, greedy, hot-headed, general in a bad mood, explosive, temperamented, insatiable, ego-led, cunning, scheming, sly, anthropomorphic, blacked-out duck. And the cornerstone out of all the Warner Brothers characters, a cartoon character vigilante who's just not got his just dues in the last 10 years or even longer due to who knows, but this legend's name is the wonderful Daffy Duck. Daffy Shelton Duck is a Warner Brothers cartoon character produced by Warner Brothers, created by Tex Avery and Bob Clampett. His character in the cartoons is 15 years old, but obviously in real life he is older. A lot of people did the voice for Daffy, so I'm going to leave these legends a notable mention as they would have made so many people happy. So these include Mel Blanc from 1937 to 1989, Jeff Bergman from 1990 to 1993, 2011 to present, Joe Alaskey from 1990 to 2014, Maurice LaMarche in 1991, Greg Burson 1992 to 1997, Frank Gorshin in 1996, D. Bradley Baker in 1996, 2015 to present, Samuel Vinson 2001 to 2006, and Jeff Bennett in 2004. Daffy's species of duck is an American black duck who first appeared in April 17, 1937 in Porky's Duck Hunt, which was an animated short film that starred Porky Pig 2. Daffy Duck went on to appear in the popular cartoon series Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. He was depicted as the best friend and occasional arch-rival of Bugs Bunny. Daffy Duck appeared in 130 short cartoons in the Golden Age, with Bugs Bunny in 180 and Porky Pig kicking butt in 162 appearances. In 1937, after Porky's Duck Hunt was released, people would leave the cinema talking about this Daffy Duck. Daffy had a manner of expression that included a prominent lisp, often accompanied by the expelling of saliva, which a lot of people thought came from Leon Schlinger's tendency to lisp, but then others thought it was from Mel Blanc simply choosing to change words containing an S sound to TH sounding. Daffy also has 3 female counterparts who went by the name Melissa Duck, Tina Russo, deceased, Lindsay Duck, present, and 2 children, Plucky Duck and Donna Duck. Melissa Duck featured in Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies also, and Baby Looney Tunes too. She first appeared in 1945 cartoon called Nasty Quack, but could date back earlier. Daffy was one of the original creations of the Screwball Architect, which included a bunch of different characters, not only from Tex Avery, but Tex Avery's characters pretty much led the way for this style. Tex even took on the Screwball stamp, making up a character named Screwball Screwy Squirrel, who was an anthropomorphic squirrel who can do almost anything to almost anyone. He pulls objects out of the thin air, doubles himself, and constantly breaks the fourth wall. Some notable cartoons and characters that Daffy has appeared in are Duck Amuck, Duck Tracy, Duck Dodgers, Green Lantern, Book Review, Daffy Duck and Egghead, Scarlet Pumpernickel, Robin Hood, Western Type Hero, But Daffy's legendary status is brilliant and timeless. Comedy shorts really began during the World War II years. By this time, Daffy is the Daffy Duck we are all familiar with. Out of control, wild, madly uninhibited, unhinged. These cartoons include 1943's Daffy the Commando, where he hits Hitler over the head, 1944's Plain Daffy, where he is romanced by a gorgeous Nazi lady spy, and 1945's Drafty Daffy, where he frantically tries to avoid the man from the draft board. Daffy was often teamed with other Looney Tunes, Merry Melody characters, most notably Porky Pig and Bugs Bunny. With the Porky teamings, Daffy was usually the clown, with Porky his foil and straight man. Many of these tunes are hilarious, including 1946's Daffy Doodles. Daffy is a psycho duck who can't stop himself from painting moustaches. 1948's Daffy Duck slept here. Porky needs a night's sleep and Daffy keeps him up. And 1948's Raffy Daffy. Daffy is a homeless duck trying to find shelter and Porky is a cop hounding him. By the 1950s, Daffy's simple, crazy, unrestrained character had taken a sharp turn. The animation and direction of the world-famous Mollard was given to Chuck Jones. Jones, another wonderful animation legend and talent, was mainly responsible for turning Daffy into a greedy, shallow, narcissistic, hostile, angry duck. Although unattractive personal traits with Daffy, they somehow became extremely funny and oddly likable. Often teamed with Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers' biggest animation star, Daffy became Bugs' perfect foil and patsy. The combination of the Big's trademark easygoingness and Daffy's shameless self-promotion works together perfectly. Daffy's biggest catchphrase, "You're despicable," delivered to Bugs, comes from these wonderful 1951 to 1957 Bugs and Daffy years. The two teamed up in many legendary tunes, including three of their best: 1951's Rabbit Fire, 1952's Rabbit Seasoning, and 1953's Duck Rabbit Duck. In all three, Elmer Fudd hunts Bugs and Daffy, who scramble and schemes for survival. In 1957's Showbiz Bugs, A Desperate Applause, hungry Daffy is continually upstaged by a mildly bemused Bugs. Daffy and Bugs share the stage, and Daffy wildly tries to gain the audience's approval. Daffy's manic tap dance is greeted with dead silence. The famed chirping creates crickets in the background, while Bugs' tepid dance provokes wild applause. Although they did several classics together, 1953's Duck Amuck is probably their high point. It also is probably the greatest single Daffy Duck cartoon ever, period. Daffy spends the entire cartoon complaining to an unseen animator, who assumes a godlike persona and keep animating the hapless duck into embarrassing and painful situations. At the end of the tune, the animator is revealed to be Bugs Bunny himself. Steve Schneider calls Duck Amuck one of the few unarguable masterpieces of American animation. In 1999, the short was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. 1953's Duck Dodgers of the 24th and a half century is another of the dozens of unforgettably hilarious Daffy tunes, as Daffy meets Marvin the Martian in Buck Rogers' sci-fi takeover. Another gem is Stupor Duck, which features Daffy as a Superman-like hero named Stupor Duck. He also, of course, plays his mild-mannered alter ego Cluck Trent. Like trying to write a single article on the best Beatles songs, listing out the greatest Daffy Duck cartoon becomes a task much too huge to be continued in one writing. During the golden age of animation, roughly the 1930s to the early 60s, the comical Mollard appeared in 133 Warner Brothers cartoons. As his personality developed, his creative personnel found ways to use his tremendous ego, hair trigger, temper, and irrational convetousness to make that second banana status itself a source of gags. Daffy's popularity continued after his series ended. Not only were his old cartoons endlessly recycled on TV, he also appeared in new animation. He endorsed an occasional product in TV commercials and did bridging sequences in the Bugs Bunny show. During the 1970s and 80s, he was among the Looney Tunes stars to appear in primetime TV specials, and in 1996 they all co-starred with Michael Jordan in Space Jam. In the early 1990s, shows like Tiny Toon Adventures, he stood as the inspiration for Plucky Duck, and like many other toons, he had a part to play in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, released by Disney in 1988. And that's what we're going to show here. In 1999, he appeared on a US postage stamp. Daffy's transition to comic books occurred in 1941, where he appeared in the first issue of Dell's Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies comics. He continued in that venue until the series ended in 1962, and one of its mainstays during its 1975 to 84 revival by Gold Key Comics. He anchored a comic book title for his own from 1953 to 83. Today he appears regularly in the third series of the Looney Tunes comic books published by DC Comics. An interesting fact about Daffy Duck is that he came before Bugs Bunny. Of course, Bugs Bunny is more popular, but Daffy is well known too. Steven Spielberg's favourite character was Daffy Duck. My fondest memories of Daffy Duck is that I'd always be wondering, why is he so annoyed? What got him so annoyed? I suppose calm and composed can be boring, and the creator wanted him to be interesting, of course. Despite his popularity and versatility, Daffy was never even nominated for an Oscar, a fact which would undoubtedly cause him no end of frustration if he were a real person. But as a cultural icon, he was long outlasted by many. I wanted to do this doco because Daffy Duck kinda disappeared, but then I thought, no, he didn't. He's a cartoon character. He'll live forever. As long as we take a second, or however long you want to spend, watching an old short cartoon or movie that he has one of the many cool characters from our childhood. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Beneficial Massive. I flipped it up again to try to give you the viewers something different, and I'll continue to do this to make my channel more interesting as time goes on and we grow. I'd like to dedicate this episode to my bubs and beautiful daughter Isabella Ruby, and hope she enjoys it. Maybe she'll appreciate it more when she's older possibly. Anyway, please hit subscribe and like, and I'll see you next episode, people. Thanks.
Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all! That's all!